You're listening to The Cell on WGRN 94.1, brought to you by the Faith Thomas Foundation. I'd like to welcome our listeners back. We have a full house today. We have Franklin County Children's Services with us here today. We have Daryl Cobbs, Tanya Stills, Miss Turner, and I call her Val Turner, and Kendall Lee, and we have Lashana Crone. You know, I've been practicing that Lashonda because I want to put the D on there, but it's Lashana. Okay, Crone. And they're with the Malika and the Simba program, and I want our listeners to find out about or to consider being mentors to young Black African American women and young Black African American men. And that's what we're here to talk about today, and the importance of that. So what we're going to do is go around the room here and introduce yourself, please, and tell me what it is that you do for Franklin County Children's Services.
Good evening. My name is Daryl Cobb, and I am the director of the Simba program.
Good evening. My name is Kendall Lee, and I am a mentor for the Simba program and also sit on the advisory committee.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Still, and I am the director of the Malika Mentoring Program.
And good evening. My name is Lashana Crone, and I am a Malika mentor as well as a volunteer for Franklin County Children's Services.
Okay. Okay, thank each of you. But Daryl, if you could start, Mr. Hobbs, or do you mind if I call you Daryl? Or
Daryl is fine.
I mean, you're looking so professional and snappy over there. I just want to make sure.
That's how we do it in the Simba land.
Okay, cool. Could you tell us about Simba?
Simba is a culturally and gender-specific mentoring program where we match African-American boys who have a relationship with our agency with African-American men in the community. The program has been around for 30 years, so we have touched thousands of lives, who changed many homes, and we have the opportunity to continue to impact our community. That's why we're here today to talk about the program, because we are in need of men stepping up to provide opportunities to help teach, guide, and promote these young men.
I have a question. You said that the Simba program has been around for 30 years.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened 30 years ago that made that decision that there was mentoring needed for African American men? I'm
glad you asked that question. The program was created through a partnership with the community. We had two community advocates, the late Clifford Tyree and Kwesi Combine, along with one of the Franklin County Children's Services employees, late Karen Bell, who were concerned about the outcomes of young African American boys after they left the agency. We had an executive director at the time who understood the plight and provided an opportunity for them to create the Simba program. And that's exactly what happened. They met on June 18th, and they created the program. They had at the height over 150 men that were a part of the Simba program. So we're trying to continue that legacy and make the impact for the children, because there's always a need, and we need men.
What made you want to get involved in this particular program?
This program?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a volunteer through the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and I've been a volunteer for 21 years. So, but going back to my childhood, my father was a person who was always engaged, and he instilled in my brother and I that we have to give back, and it's a necessity. So people poured into me all through my life outside of my immediate family, so it is incumbent on me to give back, and that's what I do.
Okay. All right, Ms. Tanya. Can you tell us why you are a part of, or tell us about the Malika program?
Absolutely. So we are the counterpart to the Simba program. Malika is the gender and culturally specific program for African American young ladies that are involved with the child welfare system or involved with Franklin County Children's Services. Under Malika, I have the privilege of matching young African American females with African American female women mentors who come together to pour into the lives of young girls who are experiencing some pretty difficult home conditions. Part of our plight under Malika is to help these young ladies realize that in all things you can always learn to be a young lady, that you can remain a young lady despite your circumstances. And so with Malika, our goal is just to help these young ladies transition into adulthood, having some positive self-esteem, growing and moving in a positive direction, and understanding that where you are today isn't always necessarily where you have to stay or where you have to remain. And so sometimes it's just a matter of the community coming together to show the possibility. And that's what our ladies of Malika do. They give these young ladies hope, promise, and opportunity.
Okay, this could be for either one of you. Does Franklin County Children's Services only offer programs for just the Malika and Simba?
No, we actually have a volunteer department where we meet the needs of all of the children that we serve. Again, Malika and Simba being the gender and cultural specific programs. But we have our Friendship Volunteer, which was our original volunteer program, which, by the way, is celebrating its 50th year. So we're very, very happy for that. And under the Friendship Program, we meet the needs of all children within the agency. So doesn't really matter your cultural makeup. You can be matched with a mentor, a one-on-one mentor opportunity under our Friendship Program. We also have our college-bound mentoring program that serves children between the ages of 9th and 12th grade. And the responsibility of the college-bound program is actually to open up the opportunities for kids who want to pursue something beyond high school. That can be a formal 4-year college, a 2-year college, a trade school. So it just gets our children thinking about where they're going to be, what their next steps in life are after high school.
Yeah, we discovered that when the College Bound Mentoring Program was created, that anywhere between 86 and 92% of the children in our care were first-generation college students. So they needed advocates to help them walk through that process of not only doing college visits, but filling out the application. But most importantly, once they got on campus, to have someone to talk about those issues that all college students experience. Roommate issues, class studying, those types of things. So we try to meet the needs of all the children in our care, and this is a part of it.
Okay. I understand about the Malika and the Simba program and what it is that you're trying to do. But how do you become part of this program? How does our listeners out there, or how do individuals who feel or have identified that there is a young girl or a young man, how do they become part of this program so that they can be mentored?
I am absolutely glad that you asked that question. And so you can become a mentor by going to our public website, Franklin County Children's Services. And I have that website. Actually, it's childrenservices.franklincountyohio.gov. You would click the tab, How to Help, and then click the Mentor and Volunteer tab. And that will take you to where you can get information. And then if you so choose, you can fill out an inquiry and you will be contacted by somebody in our volunteer department. You can also call 614-275-2690, which will get you to our volunteer department where somebody can also help you and assist you through that process of becoming a mentor.
Okay, what about if there's a kid that's been identified? Is the kids, are they that they've been involved with, let's just say that they're a troubled child that has been picked up by the police or, constantly in the court system. Is it just those individuals who are involved in this particular programs? Or are there other ways that, you can be involved in this program?
The children that are involved in our volunteer programs are children who are currently involved with Franklin County Children's Services.
Okay.
So we take referrals from caseworkers, kinship workers, and our partners who are working with the kids who may be in treatment facilities. They have to make a referral to our volunteer program, and that's how we get engaged initially.
So if I happen to have a family member who has a young child or within your age range that I feel that needs to be mentored,
Yes.
Or someone to be involved in your life, because we know that children don't always listen to their family members or their close members, that sometimes you have to have someone else come in order to capture their attention,
Absolutely.
To give them something that we're not able to give them.
Yes.
So then they would follow.
So what I would suggest that you would do is talk to your friend or relative to have a conversation with their caseworker and emphasize the need for them to consider having that referral made to the volunteer program. And then once that referral is made, then we proceed to have an opportunity to go out and talk with the young person and the parent or guardian to talk about what we can offer. This is a volunteer program. No one is forced or court ordered to be a part of our program. So everyone has to agree to the terms and to be a part of the program.
So you don't necessarily have to have come through the court system.
Correct.
You could just be someone that could be a shy child or a child that's just, that's not in any problems or having any problems, can still be part of these programs.
That is correct.
As long as they're currently involved with our agency, as long as their family is currently linked to our agency, absolutely. And one of the other benefits of our programs is that what we want to see is for all families to get past the rough conditions or the hard things that they're experiencing and move toward a place where they're self-sufficient. And so as we help them through the self-sufficiency piece of it, the unique thing about our program is that we will continue to follow those families so long after their formal case has closed with the agency. They can continue to be involved with our two programs or our volunteer programs. They can still continue to be linked with their mentors and have that relationship and continue to build, and we will continue to follow them and to provide the support.
Okay, let's get to some of one of our mentors here, Lashana. What is it that everything's a passion for you for volunteering? It's something that you feel, something that you want to make a difference in. What was your, reasoning for becoming a mentor or volunteer for the Malika program?
Yes, that's absolutely another great question. I'm no stranger to being a mentor. I actually got involved with mentoring over 20-something years ago with the Big Brother, Big Sister mentoring program with Franklin County Children's Services. And I just remember my mentee at the time, the impact that it had on her. She was in some very, I would say, challenging home life situations. And when I would go pick her up, you could just see the, I would say, just the relief, a sense of family for an hour or two that she had with me and my family at the time. And I was a younger lady then, and just the impact that it had. And so fast forward, I don't know if Mr. Cobb remember this or not, but he actually recruited me for the Malika Mentor program. And he said, there's a program that I think you would do really, really well at, and we need good people. And that was back in 2016. And so that passion has always been there. I'm just so excited to be a part of this program because it works. We have very caring directors who are at the helm of these mentoring programs, and I couldn't ask to be a part of a better organization.
Okay. Before we continue on, we're going to go ahead and take our identification break here. This is the cell, and we are on WGRN 94.1 FM. And I'd like to thank our listeners for tuning in today. We have a couple of upcoming events coming. July 13th, we're doing a community wellness and safety fair on Lowe's parking lot. We're hoping that everyone out there which is listening will come and participate in this event. We're going to have a lot of vendors there giving out health information. And we're going to have some screening and things going on, such as a mammogram unit, and we're going to also be doing a blood drive. So once again, we hope that our listeners will come out and participate with us in this health fair. In addition to that, on September the 6th, which is a Friday, we're holding our annual Red Diamond Gala, which is a fundraiser for Franklin County. Not Franklin County Children's Services. I do apologize, but it's take it.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we have to work on that. But our Red Diamond Gala is a fundraiser for Nationwide Children's Hospital and OSU, and both of their sickle cell programs. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that we can get supporters to come out and attend this event with us and learn a little bit. This year's American Red Cross. And we're still working on our theme, but it's going to have something to do with, back down memory lane. And since we're talking about that, we got a young man over here, And I do believe it's his birthday, is one of our other mentors here, Mr. Kendall Lee. I heard you were 20?
22.
22?
22 years old.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate that.
I won't embarrass you and ask everybody to sing happy birthday to you. We can do that a little bit later after the program, okay? But I mean, once again, I think on the previous show, I was talking about if you could see some of the background things that take place when you're taping the show, they was over here jamming to 50 Cent. Okay, I said, who's that? I said, Tupac? I mean, how in tune I am. But, that was pretty good. That was his birthday song. So he had his little birthday groove. So how you doing, Mr. 20-year-old?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for inviting me here.
Okay, yeah, my pleasure. And the same thing, we're talking about pleasure and passions. What made you want to become part of?
Well, as an entrepreneur here in Columbus, Ohio, I drive around the community quite often and around the state and around the country. And one of the biggest challenges that I saw was what I call toxic masculinity occurring in our community. And particularly for African American males who didn't have what I call the guidance and the role modeling necessary to become successful. I was looking to make sure that we were able to impact their lives so they could become what I call Renaissance gentlemen, who have the ability to have an understanding of not only academics and social things, but also the arts, and fine understanding of who they are, so they could identify that there are things out here that they can promote them to the next level and that they can be successful regardless of the challenges or the backgrounds that they came from.
Yeah, I totally relate to that on some of the things that you're talking about, because I think back on my childhood and wish I coulda, woulda, or things
Absolutely.
were different. And when you're watching TV and you're watching the Huxtables, the Cosbys, you're wishing that your lifestyle could have been different or that your parents were different. Right. And sometimes you don't, like I said, even when it comes to identifying a family member, that you just can't relate or reach out to that individual. And it goes back generational, because sometimes your parent, your aunt, your uncles and them, they don't know how to show you what it is that you need to learn in order to succeed, because no one showed them. So then you have to be willing to break out of that to try to make a difference. And that's one of the reasons why you're mentoring. And I know that I applied, to be a mentor. For those of you who know me, my daughter died when she was 11 back in 2002 due to sickle cell complications. And it's been a long, long, dark road for me. And to be able to come to a point to say, hey, I think I'm ready to open myself up and to give love or share things that I've learned with a young person. I think Katie was one of the first people that I called when I decided. Katie is a friend of my daughter. She grew up with her. She was the first person that I called when I thought about that. And also, too, I had to work with someone from Franklin County Children's Services that helped me kind of get through it and introduce me to Miss Steele here. And y'all handled me with kid gloves, I must say, but to help me through that process. But it's a passion, that you have. And so I understand of wanting to make a difference in everything that, as you said, in someone's life. I look, like I said, back on what I had, and I wish that my parents would have done something different, but someone has to break the cycle.
Absolutely, and I would just share with your listening audience that it's important for young men in particular. Manhood is not really defined in our society. And if nothing else, this program, Simba and Malika, gives the opportunity for young people to be matched with someone who has an insight, an expertise, and more importantly, some experience to share with them about how life is, particularly for young men. Manhood is not defined. There is a process in which that men need to go through in order to reach to a certain level. The challenges that we have, in particular the African American community, there's no one there guiding you. There's no written book that tells you this is when you are actually coming into manhood, as opposed to a woman who has a biological signal that lets her know that she's arriving into womanhood. Our young men struggle with that, and oftentimes it comes out as anger, frustration, and sometimes it comes out in terms of breaking the law. But when you have a role model who is a part of the SIMBA program and Franklin County Children's Services, you have tools and resources to help them balance their lives. And I think that that's a very important part for your listening audience to understand. Whatever you bring to the table, someone can utilize that. And that's what becomes so important about what we do.
Okay.
And I'll piggyback off of that with Mr. Lee in saying that it is very important. And one thing that I'm extremely proud of is that under Simba and Malika both, we work with such an array of people who bring different talents to the table. Our mentors bring a lot, and we depend on their expertise in different areas, because it's not enough to say that we're all African American. Even within that, we're culturally very different sometimes. And so having such a wide array of talents that our mentors bring allows us to really match kids along characteristics and along across what they really, really need. Instead of just saying we're matching you with an African American person, we can really look at that child and say, here are the specific needs of this child, and we have mentors that are able to step into those roles, and so I'm thankful for that.
Now, how old do you have to be a mentor?
For our programs, 18 years of age.
Okay. And I think that's an important year, especially for an 18-year-old mentoring another, like a teenager when they're just coming out of teenagehood themselves, is because they need to share with them what struggles they've been through and exposing them or encouraging them to continue their education, and that there's more in life out there for them.
Correct.
I think that's so important. So, LaShawna, how many individuals have you mentored so far? Are you still, like if you had somebody that you were mentoring 10 years ago, are you still in contact with that individual?
So with the Malika program, I started in 2017, and fortunately, I was matched right off with my mentee, and so we've had a relationship now over 2 years. So specifically with this program, we've been together over 2 years.
Okay, but before that, you were part of Big Brothers, Big Sisters?
Yes, and I do not have contact with my mentee, unfortunately, which, that's one thing that I constantly think about.
Yes.
Where is she now? And hopefully she's doing well. But I do have the opportunity that's in front of me today. And so I'm taking full advantage of just pouring into my current mentee. Mm-hmm. She's 12 years old, and to be able to see her grow and flourish and blossom into the beautiful butterfly that she's becoming is just beautiful in my sight.
Yeah, I think that's so important because just like we had our wellness fair a couple of weeks ago on April 20th, and my nephew is the head coach for Shawnee State. And even though it's a park and rec center, and I explained to him, because these are mostly little kids that are there at the Park and Rec Center, but I explained to him, you don't know which one of these kids' lives you're going to touch. I said, I want your presence there in order for you to encourage them to, they look at you as tall you are, and they go, and I want to do this. Well, then you can talk to them a little bit about college. You can talk to them about their education as they're coming through and what they need to do. I said, all I want you to do is to encourage them, to continue on with their education, and take them over and shoot a couple little hoops, I said, because they will remember that. And that's what you want to be able to touch. And that's what basically what both of the mentors here are doing, is you're making an impression upon some young kid's mind. And like you said, somebody made an impression upon you. So when the opportunity came for you to be able to do something back, you went on ahead and you jumped on it, to say, hey, I do want to give back. I think that's great. Okay, I think that's great. Wow, I'm sitting up here. I'm ready to start crying, listening to the mentors talking about, the young kids. Let me ask you a question, Kendall. Which is one of the young men that you've helped that most stays with you?
Well, I mentor every day.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter where I find young men or young women that I encounter. I'm trying to insert, pour in, role model, and give them guidance and encouragement. So for the past 3 years, I've been with Franklin County Children's Services, and my mentee, unfortunately, is incarcerated at this point in time. The bond has not been broken. We still are in contact. But however, there were decisions that he made outside of our relationship. Because we were uniquely matched and we were uniquely different, I think the differences made us a good match because he was able to see some things that were unique, special, and helped him to help balance his life. Unfortunately, there are consequences when you continue to make bad decisions, and there was some behavior that he continued to do that ultimately had him incarcerated. But I continue to reach out to him. I continue to mentor young men and young women wherever I encounter them at, whether it's the mall, whether it's at a restaurant, whether I'm walking down the street. There's a conversation, and your listening audience needs to know that you just start where you are and meet them in the intersection of where they are, and you'll be surprised at what you are able to share with their lives to help mold, guide, and direct them to be successful young people in our community.
Okay. Daryl, I mean, he's hitting on it. So what are some of the things that you guys look for in your volunteers and mentors?
Look for people who are committed, people who want to make a difference in their life, who are willing to give of their time and their energy. But most of all, someone who has the passion to pour into young people and like young people. Because speaking for men can have a feel-good moment, see a commercial, see a radio ad, say, yeah, that's something that I might want to be a part of. But when the rubber hits the road, we need men who are willing to stand fast and be there as a united front to push our young people forward. So I'm looking for men who want to make a difference, who are committed, willing to give time, and understand that they are important and they can make a difference.
Okay, Tanya, what is it that you're looking for as far as a volunteer and mentor?
I would say all of those things that Daryl just said, and I would also just add, you know, we really want people who don't necessarily have a superhero mentality.
Yes.
And so a lot of times, especially working with our young babies that we work with and our young people that we work with, it's like I'm going to swoop in and save them from themselves. But what we really want to do is empower these young people within their own communities. We want to empower them to know that they can make a difference and make a change. And so just swooping down and kind of picking them up, taking them to all these great, wonderful opportunities doesn't necessarily, we can never negate where they came from because it's a part of them. And so we just want to empower them in that and empower them through that. And so we want to make sure that when we're matching people with children, understanding that you're also being matched with that child's family because they are an extension of something and somebody. They didn't come by happenstance. And so we really look for mentors that are willing to make an investment not only in children but in families.
Okay. LaShawn, I'm going to let you take us out. Could you give some advice to individual or any of our listeners out there that are considering being a mentor or a volunteer? What advice would you give them?
I would definitely say do your research on the programs. Make sure you have a very good understanding of what the mentoring program represents. And then also talk to other mentors. Get their experiences. Find out what they've been doing, the good and the bad, because it's all a part of it. And then, again, as everyone already said on tonight, just having the heart and having the passion and being committed to the cause.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're ran out of time, and I want to thank each of you for being here, this evening. And the mentors have, kind of teared me up a little bit. So I'm sure our listeners, if you want to volunteer or if you want to be involved in being a mentor, what is the website?
Yes, if you're interested in becoming a mentor, you can go on to childrenservices.franklincounty.ohio.gov, click the tab, How to Help, and then go under Mentors and Volunteers and either click the SIMBA or the Malika program. Or if you see any other volunteer opportunities that you're interested in, please feel free to click those as well. Or you can call our department at 614-275-2690.
Wow, I can't believe that we're done here. But with that being said, Katie's over here giving me the wrap, so I got a wrap. This is Felice, your host. Peace out. Well, that's the end of today's show. I want to thank you for listening to The Cell on WGRN 94.1. You can find us on Facebook or at faiththomasfoundation.org for more information on our upcoming events. Join us every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. here on WGRN.